Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Brandon.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, dude, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Just recovering a little bit. Just got sick on this tour that we were just doing with Tower Hill. Oh. And I've been home for a few days, and I'm almost over it. Almost.
Fuck, man. I'm sorry to hear that, dude, but glad you're on the mend.
I mean, that's just how it goes when you tour and you do shows, is you don't sleep a lot and you're around a whole lot of people, so it happens.
Right? Well, fuck, dude. I know you guys have been busy, man. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on in the world of Serpent Rider, but can you give us a little rundown, man? What's the latest?
Yeah, we've been definitely just trying to push the new album, because we just had the new album come out last month, and then we did these shows with Tower Hill. We did this festival called Hyperspace Metal Festival, in Vancouver, Canada, last, what is time, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Then not next month, but a little after next month, we have some shows coming up on the East Coast and Midwest with our buddies in Fertile Lance, who are a really cool band that's based out of Chicago. We're playing Stormbringer Festival at the end of that tour.
Hell yeah.
So just gigging and promoting the album that way, staying busy.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I mean, the reception so far for this record has been pretty fucking amazing, man. Like, I've been, I'm laughing all the time, because every time I open up my email box, man, there's more fucking shit for Serpent Rider. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, man. I love it, dude.
Yeah, it's cool to see it. Yeah, absolutely. It's always hard to know, especially because I feel like don't write music that I expect other people to like. And it's always hard to know when you put out a record how it's going to do, and it's been a really pleasant surprise. But it seems like people have been into what I did on this one.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes through whenever you're doing stuff to, you're doing what you feel, what you want to do. And sometimes that works, because, I mean, you never know,
Yeah. No, I mean, I think people like to hear something different. People like to hear something that doesn't sound calculated to get spread. Just certainly a lot of fucking bands, especially with heavy metal so oversaturated right now, a lot of bands are definitely coming across as doing what they think is going to get them signed to Cruz del Sur or No Remorse, and then get them on the road to keep it true.
Right.
And I think that the fans can hear that, and they kind of go, I've heard this before. I've heard this fucking from the last 30 bands this month that put out a record that was trying to do the same thing. I think it's boring as a fan, and I didn't want to do that with my music, so I didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, this definitely has its own sound, and like this record, the record as a whole too. Like, you can't just listen to one song and get the whole thing at all. Like, you have to listen to the whole thing, because every song has its own little thing to it. And there's a lot of different dimensions to it. And there's a lot of stuff to dig through. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's definitely something that I was trying to do. Because, when you listen to fucking Dio is the example I keep using.
Yes.
When I talk to people about this band. Not because we sound anything like Dio, but because, like, you listen to fucking Holy Diver, and that album isn't just Holy Diver. I mean, he does speed metal on it. He does really slow stuff. There's a ballad. I mean a power ballad. But I mean, he does enough that you can't go, oh yeah, what does Dio sound like on Holy Diver? And then you can't just listen to Holy Diver and then be done with it. And that's how pretty much all of our fucking favorite classic bands and records are. And it really confuses me that so many new bands just do the same song 8 times and call it good. And it's like, where on your fucking favorite Judas Priest album did they do the same song 8 times and call it good? Like, their most homogenous album was Painkiller, and even that one had, By the Hammer and the Anvil and Touch of Evil and shit. I mean,
Oh yeah. Judas Priest is a great example of that. Yeah, especially like their older records, man. You listen to some of that older stuff, and like there's of course there's the radio hits that everybody knows, but like when you dig in deep and listen to the deep tracks, they're all over the place, man. Like there's you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I just listen to albums. I don't listen to singles. Everything I listen to is, it's my CD player, my turntable. So that's how I think about music when I approach writing it. Is not how can I write this single. And, obviously I do focus on making the individual songs as good, as catchy as they can be. But what I'm thinking about is across the duration of this vinyl record, how do I want this to flow? How is this all going to work together? Not, from the beginning to the end. Once I get towards the end of the songwriting, I start thinking, what's going to be the last song? Do I need to write a closer for the A-side? What's the B-side intro? It has to flow like an album.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, for people out there that don't know, can you give us a brief history rundown of like how the band got started and how this whole thing came together?
Yeah, of course. So I started this band about 10 years ago out of my fucking bedroom, just under a different band name, just trying to do stuff kind of like old Scorpions, or the slow Chastain songs, just focusing really in on like epic doom, but not on like Candlemass epic doom. Like what I really liked was like the glam songs that you'd have like Blackout, or you'd have like Sales of Charon or whatever. There were like these accidental epic songs, and I just was really obsessed with the idea of doing that. And so I started writing, and I was a very bad and very new guitar player, and it took me a really long time, even though a lot of the ideas were already there, to just bring it all together. And eventually we put out a demo, and I think it was 2019. I think it was recorded earlier, but it came out in 2019. And then I kind of sat on my ass for a little while, and then our friends in Ezra Brooks, which is a solo project of Sean from Smolder, who's a good friend, he asked me if I wanted to do a split because he'd really liked the demo, and I was like, shit, I guess I better start working on new music again. And then I put together a new lineup, and I pulled together a split with him, and then I moved to Washington. And so then I took with me the singer because we're married, so it was a very easy transition to keep that part of the lineup together. And I started looking around for other musicians up in Washington, and we just kept doing what I'd been doing, and we put together an album that, once again, I mostly wrote in my bedroom, but then we tweaked it in the room as we needed to make adjustments for little things like having a drummer or lead guitar that were not there in my bedroom, and then sort of just put together a new album and recorded it, and we've just kind of been going from there. So originally from California, now we're in Washington, and just trying to play some heavy metal and have a good time.
Hell yeah, man. You mentioned the split with Ezra Brooks. That's actually that's where I remember discovering you guys, was from that split, because I remember I'm friends with Sarah from Smolder, and she was posting about that on social media, and so I went and checked that out, and then I was like, oh shit, what is this? Yeah,
that split was, I think, a really good thing for both bands, for us and for Ezra Brooks, because it got us signed to No Remorse, which has been very good to us. And I'm definitely really glad that Sean asked me to do that with him, because I had been a fan of Sean's music for a really long time before I ever met the guy.
Yeah.
And so I have an old buddy from the IRC days, if anybody is old enough to remember the time before, the current chat rooms, which was IRC. And I had this friend in there. There was this weird guy named Adam, and Adam one day said that somebody that was in his rehearsal space was just looking for a bassist, and that was Smolder. And that was Adam that joined Smolder really early on and has been their bassist ever since. And he's also sort of branched into a little bit of writing and he's done some backing vocals on some of the stuff. So sometimes, like when you're listening to Dream Quest Ends and you're listening to the low vocals, that's Adam. Yeah. And so Adam introduced me to Sean. And so then I've been good friends with Sean and Sarah for the last few years since I was introduced to them, and we hung out at Keep It True in 2019. And I was sort of intimidated to get asked to do the split with Sean because I knew Ezra Brooks is so good. And I'm really glad that I was able to do it, obviously, because it's just such an awesome project. And when I first heard their side of the split, I was like, oh no, like how can we possibly stand up to this? And we did our best. And then that was the split.
Well,
and we're still playing those songs live now.
Yeah, it turned out great, and and then this record is just like, it's like a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I definitely put a lot of work into it. The split was kind of weird for me as a writer because I had I learned guitar on Celtic Frost and Immolation and Morbid Angel, and I've always been into heavy metal long before I ever got into extreme metal, but just the time in my life when I picked up guitar, I was young, I was a teenager, and I was listening to a lot more Morbid Angel than I was Slaufig. And I picked up guitar via extreme metal, and so it was really difficult for me to learn how to play heavy metal riffs. It was not my background. And so I think that there's been, just over the years of doing this band, an increase in my ability to bring my ideas to life that I just couldn't do on the split. But I like the split still. We all still like the split, but I definitely would like to think that we've improved a lot since then.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, definitely, man. And I was also going to say, like you also play in some other bands too, like Drawn and Quartered, for instance, which is totally different.
Yeah. No, I play in a few bands, and some of them are more extreme, some of them are less. Drawn and Quartered, obviously. The Drawn and Quartered has a lot more heavy metal influence than you might think. I mean, those guys have been doing it since the 80s. There's as much Black Sabbath in there as there is anything else. Definitely got a... It was a weird transition for me playing in that band because it's so much harder than everything else I do. I had to improve as a guitar player, but at the same time, I was able to really lock into the stuff that was like what I had already been doing. And it kept me anchored.
Hell yeah. Plus, you also run your own label, too.
Yes, I do.
Nameless Grave,
I try to
man.
keep busy.
Hell yeah. That's a lot. Hell yeah, dude, I totally understand, man. The fucking, it's, it's good to be busy, though, like it keeps you going, I mean.
Yeah, and it all kind of feeds into itself, feeds into each other. When I play with one band, people will come see us because they like my other bands. I played Maryland Death Fest, pretty up for a center was I saw somebody wearing a Drag Car shirt, which is one of my other bands. I was like, oh, cool. When I do shows with Serpent Rider, people come out because they heard about the band through the record label. When I do shows with Drawn and Quartered, people come out and they talk about my old fanzine that I used to do. I'm running a festival now as well, and all of these things, I think that people see what I'm doing and they appreciate that I'm doing so much stuff and putting so much of myself into the scene, and then they give me back some of that energy when they come back out to the shows, and it's really cool.
Hell yeah. And running a festival too, like that's a whole nother ball game right there, man. Holy shit. I
always swore I would never do it, and I broke that promise because heavy metal is really cool and we need more heavy metal in the world.
Sometimes you just gotta do it, man,
Somebody's gotta.
Tell us about the festival.
Sure. It's called Soldiers of Steel, and it's going to be in Seattle, Washington, this upcoming August 1st and 2nd at Substation. Headliners are Slough-Egg and Leather Leone doing a Chastain set.
Yes.
Co-headliners are Q5 and Heir Apparent. Bunch of other really cool bands playing, like Solicitor, Morgul Blade, Greyhawk, Danova, Taste of Iron, Blade, Colony Drop. We're playing, obviously, because if I'm going to book the first year of my own festival, I'm going to play it. It's a couple days after my birthday, so it's a nice little birthday celebration for me, though I did not plan it that way at all, and I only realized that it was so close to my birthday this week. It was completely distinct in my mind when I was booking it.
Hell yeah, man. Solicitor, fucking Leather, dude. Leather Leone, man. That's fucking legend right there, man. Like, badass.
I'm really excited. She hasn't done a show in the United States in years. But I saw her doing a co-headline Chastain set in Germany last year, and I was so impressed that when I got home and I was starting to plan my festival, I was like, I wonder if Leather's free. I was glad I was able to make it work.
Yeah, hey man, you never know. You know, sometimes you just got to reach out to people and talk to them and see what'll happen. You know.
Yeah, sometimes the timing has been wrong before for other festivals and is right for you.
Hell yeah.
That applies to a lot of stuff. I mean, we've played with Serpent Rider a lot of cool shows with a lot of bands that don't play a lot of shows at all. And a lot of the time it's the timing of asking them where it's just maybe they couldn't do a lot of shows 5 years ago or 20 years ago and now they can. Or maybe it's just nobody's asked them in a little while. Because sometimes people also, they don't know how to approach, especially like older bands that have something of a fan base and a story to them, and I think it intimidates some people trying to think about booking them. They're like, do we really want to bug them to do this? And then the band is like, why aren't we playing any shows?
Right.
And then it works out really well. It's like we just played with Taste of Iron and Enemy, and back in November last year, which is an all-star, all-classic Tacoma, Washington, like, Metal Legends night, which was incredible for me to get to play on that lineup. And Taste of Iron does not play live very often. And they're playing my festival, obviously, but this was their first time playing live in a while. And Enemy does not play all that often, and having both of them just go, yeah, sure, why not? I was very pleasantly surprised that they both just locked in.
Hell yeah, man. That is badass. Well, gotta ask you about Serpent Rider, man. Like this record, we were just playing Tyrant's March before this, man. I think that right now is probably my favorite song at the moment. I don't know, there's just something about the way that it comes in galloping with that solo, and then the chanting fucking thing that you guys do towards the end. That's just so epic, man.
Yeah, thanks. The working title for that song, I think, was just Liege Lord, because it started off as a Liege Lord knockoff, and then I had intended it to be a very straightforward, like the only genuinely straightforward song on the record, and then when I was writing some of the riffs, I just could not help myself but throw in that big doom part in the middle.
Hell yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess this song isn't as straightforward as it was gonna be. And then I had some ideas that I ran with, and Paul did all the solos on that song, and Paul did an absolutely excellent job of sort of making it work. And like some of the dual guitar harmonies, I came to him and I was like, okay, here's the progression. I wrote this. Here's the section. We need a harmony here. I don't know what to do. What do you want to do? And then Paul sort of made those parts work. But obviously, the song is really carried by Reese's vocals and by the really big chorus in the middle. And I was really impressed, especially given how structurally bizarre the song is, that Reza was able to pull that together and make it work. because initially I was kind of going, I don't know what I would even write over this part, and she just absolutely blew it out of the water.
Yeah, fucking nailed it, man. It's fucking awesome. It sounds badass. I mean, I've listened to the whole record a bunch of times, but like that's the one song that I keep going back to. For some reason.
It's awesome. I think it's a great song. I really like playing it live.
And I love that solo too at the very beginning, man. Who does that? Is that you?
That's Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's like his Slayer moment where he kind of just goes off.
Yeah.
Because the rest of most of these songs, it wouldn't fit for him to do something like that, and he's doing a lot more melodic soloing. And then on that one section, I was like, do something fast, and he did. And he made it work.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Captor of Sin, the way that starts. The way that it just kicks off with a solo right from the start, man. It's just like. It's totally unexpected, you're not supposed to do that, but you just do it, man, and it sounds cool.
I think intro solos are underrated.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, sometimes it definitely, it can take a song to a whole new level.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun one to open our set with, but it's a little too abrupt to go in without a warm-up.
Yeah.
A little too fast. I think that would throw everyone off, so we usually save it till a little later in the set.
Hell yeah. Well, as far as you, like, as a musician, like, what kind of influences did you have growing up? Like, what kind of stuff got you into music in the beginning, and what made you want to pick up a guitar?
So, my dad got into Black Sabbath in the early 70s, and he just never got out of metal. And so I just grew up listening to the stuff that my dad was into, which was Black Sabbath. He listened to a lot of Sleep, at the time, when I was a kid, he was going through a huge funeral doom phase, which I really hated at the time. I just could not stand it. But, he got me into Slayer, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. When I was a little older, he got me into Celtic Frost, he got me into Bolt Thrower, he got me into Rotting Christ. When I was hitting high school, all of the bands that I mentioned, he'd already showed me. I remember when I was like 12 or 13, I was really, really into Celtic Frost and Solitude Aeternus. And I didn't start getting into music like myself until high school because I never needed to, because my dad just kept spoon-feeding me bands. And so I think it was actually so easy for me to get music from him that it kind of killed my own drive to find stuff. And then when I was in high school, I finally started, I stumbled on, I think, Vader. And it made me really discover death metal, which finally made me start looking for my own music. And then when I was a freshman in college, I had a buddy that played guitar, and I didn't play guitar. I had never considered myself a musician or being capable of being a musician. It just never even occurred to me. And I kept having my buddy play Morbid Angel riffs for me, or I'd have him learn an Immolation riff, and I'd be like, just play it for me over and over again. And he got so fed up with me asking him to play riffs all the time, he was just like, God damn it, just buy a guitar, I'll teach you how to play guitar, you can stop asking me to play you riffs. And then I did exactly that. I picked up, my dad actually had an old guitar from when he played in bands in the 80s. Not that anybody, I think, would have heard of. I don't think he even recorded anything, but, and for all I know, he didn't play in bands. He told me he played in bands. I don't have any proof. But, he certainly had guitars, and I took one of them back to college with me. It is a piece of shit beater because he sold his old Gibson Flying V at some point, and he only had his shittiest pile of shit, it was like a Arizona House of Music or something Les Paul knockoff that was branded with the music store's name. And I had my buddy show me how to start playing guitar on it, and even though it was really tough to play on it, it could only hold 4 strings because it was so old and the tuners didn't really work. I just loved playing it so much that I went out and I bought a nicer guitar, and then within a couple of years I was already starting my first couple of bands because I just immediately fell in love with writing music.
Hell Hell yeah. That is a cool story, man. You know, it's definitely, it's cool when your parents fucking, like, support you in what you're trying to do and push you to that, you know? Like, it reminds me when I was a kid in the late 80s, I was just obsessed with guitar. I wanted one so bad, and we moved a lot, so we always had all these fucking cardboard boxes laying around in the basement. So I would take them and I would draw out designs of guitars and then cut them out like life size, you know, and it had like Warlocks and fucking Les Pauls and everything, you know, like all the different shapes that I would see on MTV or whatever. And I'd be in my room just, you know, playing air guitar on them, jamming out. But it got so bad that I had so many of them, and I'd tuck them under my bed. But I had so many of them that it got to where my mattress was like rising up off the thing because there was too many. And my mom came in there one day. She was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I'm like, she's like, okay, fine. Let's just go take you to the guitar store and let's get you a guitar. And took me down to a local music shop in Maryland at the time. That's where we were living. And I got a PV Mystic, which I still have. It's fucking beat to hell, man. But I love that thing, man. I plugged it into the record player because it had a microphone input. And no distortion, you know, just cranking it up as loud as you can and trying to make noise with it. And then later on I got an amp and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, that's it was definitely cool, you know, like what you're saying, man. Having a parent to be able to be supportive of that and not just, you know, shrug it off, you know, that's cool.
Oh yeah, and certainly not all of my friends and bandmates over the years have had that. I've had a lot of friends with parents that just don't listen to music, or really common is they don't want them to listen to anything that's not Christian music, and don't approve of them being into metal, don't approve of them being in metal bands, or, you know, doing the devil's work or whatever. And I'm definitely glad that I had my dad, even though I didn't start till late, I'm glad I had my dad showed me music the whole time, that he backed me when I did want to start.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, as far as Serpent Rider is concerned, like, what are some of these songs about lyrically wise? Like, do you guys have like an overall theme, or is it different stories, or?
I mean, just kind of whatever I think will sort of aesthetically fit with the band. I write most of the lyrics. The only song that I haven't written the lyrics for that we've done so far was Mitri Deorum off the new album that our buddy Dr. Jeremy Swiss wrote. And for the most part, I see us as a band that is definitely very like mystical and magical, to steal a pagan altar album title. So I try to keep it to stuff that will fit. Like, I don't think, you know, it's cool when Sanctuary sang about politics, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to sing about current events. I don't want to sing about science fiction, not because I don't like science fiction and I sing about it in other bands, but I don't think it fits this one. I try to keep it to stuff like Greek mythology, Michael Moorcock, history where it fits, just weird arcane stuff that a lot of the times is not even necessarily obvious what I'm writing about. Like, In Spring is sort of like my attempt at doing like a Keats poem, but it's about just an old immortal that's sad that everybody that they've ever loved is dead. And we call it our vampire song. And then we have other songs on there that are about, very explicitly about Greek mythology. I've written in the past about books and fantasy novels, and about, sometimes I just make stuff up and I'll do fantasy, I'll do horror, I'll do mythology that is not really based on any real world historical mythology. And just try to blend it all together into something that's interesting.
Yeah, I know the first song, Steel is the Answer, when I heard that, my first thoughts were Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, I think, and I didn't really think about that when I wrote that, and obviously, like, once I had the lyrics in hand, I was like, oh yeah, Riddle Steel, that's obvious. That one was pretty directly ripped from Joe Abercrombie, because in one of his books, and the song intro has the exact same quote, where he goes, "Steel is the answer, steel must always be the answer," and it's about this crazy barbarian who is just incapable of approaching anything other than through violence. And the book that's from is more or less is about the futility of power, which is sort of a reoccurring, or rather the futility of the exercise of power, which is a sort of reoccurring theme in my lyrics that I'm not usually doing intentionally, but I realize a lot of the time that my lyrics have a lot of fighting that then ends with whoever it was really regretting attempting to exercise their personal power over other people. And so, like, that song, the lyrics come across as very straightforward, but it's more of the same, where it's very much, it's a guy basically chopping stuff up with his sword because he only can think of violence as an answer. Steel is the answer, steel must always be the answer, because he's a psychopath. It's not a good thing.
It's fucking badass, man. That is badass. That's really cool.
I try to keep it kind of Conan, you know?
Yeah. I mean, fuck, I love that shit, dude. Well,
yeah.
So what's coming up? What's coming up next for you guys? Do you have any announcements or anything you want to let people know about?
I think that we're pretty much just doing what we already talked about earlier on with the shows, where we're trying to promote the album via playing these gigs. We're going to keep trying to tour, hoping to get some more festival invites so that we can pad out more of a touring schedule for next year, because this year's pretty booked out. And kind of just go from there. I definitely want to keep writing, and I have started writing our next thing. But, you know, the album came out last month, so it's a little soon to have more to announce other than more shows. So we're just trying to keep it going with the gigging, and whenever it's time for more music, there will be more music.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I can't wait to hear more from you guys for sure. For people out there listening, if they want to go buy music, buy merch, support you guys in any way, where's the best place for them to go?
The best place to go would be to come see us on tour. So we're starting off, I think, June 6th in Chicago, and then we're ending at Stormbringer Festival. So if you live somewhere in between Chicago and Boston, and you're going to be home in June, keep an eye out. Otherwise, Bandcamp, we have, I think it's serpentrider.bandcamp.com. You know, come buy our shirts, buy our new record. Anything would definitely help. It's really expensive doing all of this stuff. It's expensive renting the van that we're taking out on tour next month. It's expensive doing all the studio stuff and paying for art, and it definitely helps when people buy stuff. Otherwise, I mean, if you live in Europe, you can't afford to buy from Bandcamp, hop on No Remorse Records based out of Greece, and buy from them. You know, buy from a distro, whatever help, because at the end of the day, if the album needs to get repressed, that's good for us. We make more money. It's best to buy it from us in person. It's best for us to buy it, you know, at our Bandcamp if you can't make it out to a show. But at the end of the day, if you're buying music, you're supporting the scene. It doesn't matter where you're buying it from.
Yeah. You know, I love that you mentioned Bandcamp, because, man, I can't tell you how many bands I talk to that don't even, like, realize the importance of Bandcamp. And I'm like, it blows my mind. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You know, like, and a lot of them will be the ones that are bitching and complaining about Spotify stealing all their shit. And I'm like, dude, You got Bandcamp, man. Just use it. It's there. You know? And it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love Bandcamp.
No, it's a good tool for sure, and I understand why a lot of people don't like to buy records anymore or CDs, because it's just, I get it. It's like I'm a collector, I'm a hoarder, I have fucking thousands of records and CDs, but not everybody lives the life that I live. But you should still be able to buy something and support bands, because Spotify is just fucking stealing from the bands. And being able to at least throw that $7 or $8 towards buying the digital record, even if you listen to it on Spotify, that helps just as much as buying a CD or buying a shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that it's an option, because fucking 15 years ago, or I guess Bandcamp I think was 2008 or 2010, so maybe 20 years ago, you know, if you didn't want to buy a CD, I mean, iTunes fucking took all your money too. It's not like it was any better. Bandcamp is the fucking answer, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's not just for the fans too. Like people like me that do radio and podcasts and stuff. Like Bandcamp is a really good tool, because we can download the music off there, and it's already tagged and it's already ready for airplay. You know, like it's got all the information in the right place. It's just done. You know, like it's quick and simple. You can't play, you know, I can't play fucking Spotify tunes on the fucking radio, you know, it doesn't work. So,
oh yeah, 100%.
It's, you know, it's definitely, it's a big deal, man. And like, yeah, it just, I'm always pushing for it, man. And like another thing, you know, is I'm always getting emails too from Bandcamp where something that I've bought, somebody else will see it in my collection, and then they buy it just because they seen it there. And
oh yeah,
they tell me that, you know, and like I'm like, dude, that's cool as shit.
I've definitely gotten purchases from you within like a couple hours of me putting out something on the record label on Bandcamp, where you just instantly bought it and then was like, oh, I saw that there was a new a new thing. Like, thanks, Zach.
Hell yeah, dude, it works, man. It fucking works.
Yeah, I can't imagine going back and not. I think everyone was terrified when they got bought out by Epic, because we just didn't know what was going to happen. And I'm really glad that from the last couple buyouts that nobody fucked with Bandcamp, because I can't imagine going back to the time before Bandcamp.
Yeah. I remember when MySpace was the shit, and that was like all we had. And then, you know, everybody knows how that ended, and it, like, that was terrible. But like, so yeah, you know, anytime anything goes, you know, anytime they're talking about somebody buying Bandcamp, I'm like, oh, come on, man, don't change it. But thankfully, it's all been good so far. So far, so good.
Oh yeah. If anything, I mean, obviously it sucks that the current owners laid off a bunch of the editorial staff.
Yeah.
And that there was some people let go, but purely speaking, just avoiding the politics of Bandcamp, you know, whatever going on with them, just speaking as a musician and as somebody that runs a record label, my back end for Bandcamp, all I've seen is the tools have gotten better, but nothing has gone away. They haven't hiked up rates. Like, it's just absolutely no changes in any negative ways, which has been really, really nice to see, because I was definitely, like everyone else, nervous. So I could say for everyone that's listening, Bandcamp is still the way to go.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, Brandon, I guess I'm about out of questions for you. Is there anything else you want to let people know?
Listen to Judas Priest. Judas Priest is cool. Listen to heavy metal. Buy my music. I like it when people buy my music. Today I listened to a whole lot of Tank. I listened to some Blind Guardian, some Megadeth, Luzbel. Check out those bands. Otherwise, I can't think of anything. So, you know, heavy metal lives.
All right, dude. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Sure. This is Brandon Corsair from Serpent Rider, and this is MetalDevastationRadio.com.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I didn't even have to prompt you, man. Fuck yeah, dude. Badass.
I know what I'm doing.
You know the drill, man. Right on.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it, man. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more Serpent Rider for these motherfuckers so they go crazy, all right?
Fucking A. Everybody have a fucking beer, listen to some music, and have a good Friday night.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
Cheers. There you have it, folks. Serpent Rider live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation Radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. Do whatever you gotta do, man. If you don't see U-Haul trucks everywhere tomorrow, what the fuck are you even doing, man? Crank it up loud.